Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode of Embrace the Face. I'm Alli Anderson, nurse, Reiki master, intuitive healer, initiate of the Modern Mystery School, self-healing and ascension guide. And I am recording with Miss Theresa Mariesa today. How are you?
Good. Thank you again for having me. I love coming on your podcast, so I'm very glad to be here today.
Thank you, Theresa, and I love you. Look, so we're recording audio and visual, and the sun is crazily shining through my room just as I hit record. It's pretty cool. So for those of you who do not know Theresa, she's been on my podcast, probably seasons 1 and 2. Theresa is an astrologer. It is just innately within you, all things astrology and healing crystals and other healing modalities to help people to tap in and to learn about their own natal chart and helping them to self-heal in a sense. So Theresa, we are basically today is all about celebrating the Astrological New Year.
Yay.
And for those of you not familiar in astrology, Aries starting March 19th, you were saying 11:06.
Let me just double check that.
PM. Yeah, this is
11:07. Yep.
11:07. Okay, PM. And this really is the time to get ready to gear up for the year ahead. And Theresa is here to share her wisdoms and her knowledge. And I am so grateful to have you back.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited about this because not only to be on your podcast, but also for Aries season. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of like card pulls for like the month. So at the beginning of the year, or usually around like Yule time, which is like around like Christmas time, I will sit down and I will pull my cards for the next year. And when I started pulling my cards, I got the moon for March, and the moon is representative of Pisces. And March is already like mostly Pisces season. So it's been a very Pisces March for me. So I am very ready for this new burst of energy to come through for Aries season.
I'm kind of happy to hear that too, because I feel like this has been such an emotional time. The moon is center of our emotions, and everyone I talk to, just really deep shadow work, really deep emotions, working through them. So moving onward and upward into the new year.
Absolutely. And I think that the reason why, because it's actually got a lot of astrologers stumped right now as to why things have been so crazy for everybody. And what I've seen come through with a lot of different people is that Neptune has been conjunct or working with the sun in Pisces over the past couple of weeks. And Neptune is kind of the planet that opens our eyes, it like breaks delusions and things like that. So I feel like the shroud is being taken off of our eyes, like even if it's for ourselves personally, like deep down, I feel like things are just opening up more. So because of that, there's a lot of information that we're receiving, about maybe some of our shadows and our triggers, because Saturn is also like in the conversation too, because Saturn's currently in Pisces. So because of all of that, I feel like it's really time to step up, break patterns, and get ready to move forward once Aries season rolls around, which, as you said, March 19th, 2024 at 11:07 p.m. What's also cool about that day is that it's also the spring equinox. So it's a great day for working with the energy of duality, because the sun and it'll be light and dark, the same amount of time that day, which is also known as Ostara if you practice the Wheel of the Year.
Yeah, I was just going to say it.
And I love this time of year. Like the trees are blooming, the birds are singing. Like it's just such a great time for rebirth and really like taking back your power. And not that you can't do that at any time of the year, but this energy really supports that for sure.
Yeah, I feel like last week, maybe it was just one morning I heard those birds chirp and I was like, oh, it's anew. That's all it is. And it was something to add to my gratitude list of like, okay, the birds are back. Like we're good. So we're on Long Island, so it's been like a mild winter,
Yeah.
albeit a very like deep one. I found myself self-isolating a lot, like going within, retreating, hibernating more so than most years. But I feel like stepping into the spring now, I feel like I have like come up and out of it like a new version. I did a lot of like shadow work, and um I feel like I'm finally coming to light. So anybody else out there, if you're starting to feel like, okay, I'm ready to come out of hibernation, like this is the week, like and listen to those birds, tap into those senses, take note of the the tulips right now, right? It's tulips that are blooming, the bulbs.
Yes, I
So
believe so.
they're starting to come up, so you see that greenery, you see I have in my garden like rosemary and mint and my rose bushes, like everything is starting to have a little green to it, and it's as within so without,
Mm-hmm.
so we are blooming within as well. So don't lose sight, don't lose faith, everyone. This is a time to I love too how you were saying with like Neptune and Saturn. I don't know why in my head I heard like this is an A and B conversation, see your way out of it. So there's like a lot of energies like playing right now. So
Yes.
what is like something that somebody let's what is something that somebody can like do for themselves to tap into, like where can they look in their house, where can they what can they look at, what can they do, how can they
So
heal?
if you want to know how Pisces is affecting you, you would just find where Pisces is in your chart and then see how. So there is a website. Let me back up. There's a website called astro-seek.com. And if you go on there, you can create what's called a transit chart, which is you put your birth information in there and then you put the information of where you currently live in there. And it puts two charts over each other, and you can see where the planets are in relation to where, like how they would play with like your personal chart. I will say that those are not easy to read, so get an astrologer to help you if you're not familiar
Mm-hmm.
with how to do that. I love to do transit readings because I love to help people kind of understand what the energy is for them for the next couple of weeks, months, years. Like literally I can look down the road 20 years from now and we can see what the energy is going to be like for you because of the way that the planets move. So it's very interesting. But I would just find where Pisces is in your chart. If you don't have any Pisces placements specifically, you still have a house that's ruled by Pisces, so that energy is still present within you somewhere. I like to always tell people that we are not just our sun sign, moon sign, rising, all of those things. We have all 12 signs within us, even if you don't have a specific placement, because each of the houses are represented by a sign. So no matter what, we have all of that energy inside of us and we can work with it in whichever way we need to. So things will affect us differently depending on our charts. So I hope that made sense.
It does to me. It does to me. So basically, you can find out what's going on in the energy forecast, compare it to your own personal natal chart, which you can easily get and easily find. And I'll be the first to tell you, like you are the one probably 4 years ago that introduced me to natal charts, and we've talked about this on other podcast episodes, but Theresa is the one who made me realize that I was a quadruple Aquarius, that like and why I am the way that I am in every house, meaning like this about me and that about me. And then I came home and I then introduced that to my family and my friends, and it really has shifted. We all tick a different way. We are all motivated by different things. We all perceive differently, and it's a way to understand those that you spend, most of your time with, quality time, and it's a way to embrace humanity, knowing that we are all different and it's just an awesome way, I think, to get to know yourself and get to know other people and have compassion and have patience patience
Yeah.
is a virtue, and virtuously getting to know somebody via their ancient astrological, like, this isn't something that, like, you know, Joe Schmo came up with like last year and now it's like the hot topic. Like, this is something like the ancient Egyptians were using, and you know, prior and post. So it's something that I think in the self-healing and ascension game is something that everyone should tap into. At least get to know yourself a little bit.
Yeah, and there's a great podcast, Astrology for the Week Ahead with Chani Nicholas, and that's a really great place to start with learning the astrological forecast in general. It's on Spotify. I don't know if it's on anything else. I'm sure it is. Chani Nicholas is a pretty big deal in astrology, so I'm sure she's everywhere. But I would recommend listening to that, especially if you're new to astrology, because then you can start to understand the terms and how the energy is affecting you. And like I said, it's like a forecast for your week. Just how you get the weekly forecast for the weather, you can get the weekly forecast for the vibes, which is pretty cool.
I love that. Oh, for the vibes, always. I'm always for the vibes. So I was actually going to ask you, so let's talk about like your energy forecast. What are you foreseeing for springtime, for the rest of the year, whatever your insights are, please do share.
So some interesting energy that's coming up is, like we were talking about, the spring equinox, which is happening on March 19th. And then preceding that, or after that, I think proceeding is the right word. On March 25th, we will have a full moon in Libra. So if you don't know, when in astrology, there are oppositions or sister signs, and every sign has a sister. So when there's a full moon, the full moon will always be in the zodiac sign of its sister. So the sun is going to be in Aries, so the full moon will be in Libra. And also it's going to be an eclipse, which is going to be pretty, which this one, is it going to be an eclipse? Hold on.
Yes, it's going to be
the lunar eclipse.
Moon. Yeah. It's, I have it in my handsy dancy,
well, because I've been focusing so hard on the solar eclipse that's coming in the beginning of April, because it's going to be
It is a new moon. It is a new moon eclipse.
It would be a full moon.
I'm sorry, Sorry, I'm totally backwards. It is I do know these things, people. It is a full moon. Yes, eclipse in Libra. Yeah, yes. It's the first eclipse of like many going into the season. It's opening up.
So we had a little bit of a preview of it last year in October, and it's really interesting. For me, it was very interesting. It was all about relationships for me, and just kind of the realization of where my energy goes. And I do feel that energy kind of like building again for myself. So like, I know that these moons are coming. Also, I have an Aries moon, and with the eclipses happening in Aries and Libra, it does also affect me pretty heavily because of that. So if anybody out there has an Aries moon, Aries sun, Aries rising, Libra moon, Libra sun, Libra rising.
My daughter is in Aries. Yeah.
The moons are going to affect us a little bit differently than they would other people. We might see more transformation, more emotion. So just be gentle on yourselves. Just know that the moons are here to kind of show us the path, show us the way. And sometimes it might not be easy, but it will, it is worth it once we come out with the realizations that we have. So we will have the super moon eclipse, like you said, on March 25th. That's going to be in the sign of Libra. And then moving forward from there, in the beginning of April, actually on April 1st, Mercury is going retrograde in the sign of Aries.
Wah, wah, wah. It's really not a bad thing, people. It's actually, at least that's how I see it. Sorry, I didn't have like a air horn to say.
They're perfect. So I like retrogrades most of the time, because they're for regeneration.
Yeah.
We there's so many times that we're just so fast. Everything has to get done right now. Like, we want instant gratification. We want all of that. When Mercury specifically is in retrograde, it's kind of a time to sit back and relax and try to figure out what your next steps are before you propel forward. Now, Aries doesn't really love that because Aries is also just like a super fast planet, or a super fast zodiac sign, and just always wants things to happen really, really quickly. So there might be a little bit of discomfort around this retrograde, just because we want to feel like everything is happening really quickly. But it is a good time for us to also reflect on maybe this past winter and how we were feeling, and how we were feeling even in Pisces season and all of that, and really see what we can do to propel and take these steps forward. And also, while this is happening until April 5th, we're sitting in the energy of Venus in Pisces, which is a very like loving, like
sensual.
Yeah, hardcore
Yeah.
mermaid energy. Like if you
Yeah,
think of like
yeah.
how beautiful and like just how the mermaids are, the
Yeah.
stereotypical mermaid. That's like the kind of energy that it gives me.
Okay,
So
I like it.
so Mercury will be in retrograde until April 25th. Now it will be in the shadow period until about May 1st. So that energy will still be present in its shadow until about May 1st. But so just be mindful of that. If you're traveling around that time, triple check everything that you have for your travels, like your planes, trains, and automobiles. Like, just make sure that you are completely set. Communication is going to be hard. There may be issues with technology. Just do your best to give yourself some grace. We are almost out of it, and Aries season is going to help us bring in a lot of fresh energy, especially with Venus moving into Aries on April 5th. I feel like that'll also be a renewal for the things that we love the most and the things that we want to create. And then Mars also moves into Aries on April 30th. So I feel like it's really great because it's kind of like, here's the sun in Aries, and then we have a Mercury retrograde. So it's kind of like pulling us back a little bit. But now here is Venus in Aries, and here is Mars in Aries. So it's kind of like after that retrograde is done, or towards the end of it, we also have this renewal of energy in other planets too. So it
Okay,
allows us
yeah.
to kind of just
I
power
feel
up
like it like
a little more.
soothes, like it soothes us. It's not like a hard shift. Like it's gonna soothe us back in. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And just with every step, it's like we're powering up on Super Mario when you're like, you hit
Whoop,
the star.
whoop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Gotta get 3 stars. Get 3 stars. You get more lives. I love it. I
Exactly.
still have that. I have Nintendo. We play that a lot, actually.
Nice.
I love it. All right, cool. So that's going into about May. Very cool. So
Yeah. And we
a
will,
lot going on.
the only other thing that I wanted to mention, which we very briefly mentioned, was that we have we're also going to be experiencing the new moon in Aries, which is going to be the total solar
Yes.
eclipse, which is
Yes,
on
yes,
April
April
8th.
8th. Yes. You're
Yeah.
going to Arkansas, right?
I was going to go to Arkansas. I think I'm going to
Okay.
stay here. I do have some
Okay.
commitments that I'm going to be doing around here. I'm going to be teaching a Mercury retrograde class at the Modern Druid in Nyack. And then on that Sunday, I'm going to be at the Eyes of Learning doing readings.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. That's so
So,
yeah. I may or may not go away. So if not, I will see you at the Eyes of Learning. So Eyes of Learning, we talked about this last week on my episode. I had someone who does readings there as well. It is, if you are local on Long Island, it's at Levittown Hall. It's Eyes of Learning event. It's like a metaphysical, spiritual vendors, readings. Theresa will be there doing readings. You do wonderful readings. I've
thank
had
you.
one before. But yeah, it's a good time. So okay, all right. So yeah, the let's talk about the total eclipse. I'm so excited to talk about this. So my in-laws are going to Syracuse, where they're gonna get a full 1.5 minutes. And I think if you go, we were just talking about this, that somewhere more toward like Albany, or I don't remember, somewhere is like full 3 minutes in New York. I still
Yeah.
think it's cool, even though we'll be home if we do get stuck home.
Yeah, I mean, it won't be total, but it'll still be pretty significant where we are too, in New
Yeah.
York. So my friend Phoenix lives in Binghamton, and she said that it's like an hour and a half north from her is where it's going to be the total eclipse. So
Yeah.
I might go up there to see her. We'll see. I might go,
That's
like, I
cool.
might take the day off and go there to be there for that, because I mean, that's such a rare thing to see. I mean, I know
Oh, yeah.
it happens, but it doesn't happen enough for it to be like all the time, So, and I
Yeah,
just
it's
feel
very
like the energy is so potent.
I was gonna say, what should we do? Like, what can one do
Just let it
in
happen.
those moments? Like just feel that energy, let it flow through. Like, is there anything that we should release or make an intention during this time? Like, because it's a very brief period, but it's a very powerful period.
So I think while the eclipse is happening, that would be an interesting thing to do, like put an intention out. But also, I feel like the eclipse energy is so erratic and chaotic. It's kind of like when you make a wish, but you're not specific, and then the wish can show up for you in like a really weird way,
Okay, I agree. Because in general, eclipses, you're not supposed to like start anything new. You're not supposed to do any like huge new endeavors. Okay, so that makes sense. So with my luck, it would be like the game of telephone by the time it gets to the universe, and then it would be like utter chaos. So yeah.
Especially with it being an Aries, I'm like, I don't know. I think we should just let
Yeah.
this one happen and just view it, witness it, and
Just
just
be an
let it
observer.
exactly let it go
Okay.
on its way.
Okay, very good. So noted. Okay, so no intentions or fire starting or anything during
I
this
mean,
time.
but if
Very
you're a
good.
chaos witch, do what you do,
Yeah, no judgment. Whatever you want to do. Oh yeah, that's gonna be so cool. I cannot wait to hear like people's experiences and just because yeah, it's not. I know like my in-laws, they're going away because it's not going to happen again in their lifetime. So
Yeah.
it's something to really experience and take note of and be present.
I always love to think, like, what did they think back in the day when these things happened before we knew what it was? They were probably They're probably freaking out.
Yeah, so I forget what I watched. I watched something where it was showing the lay of the land in like all over the world and dating back to like literally like ancient times. I don't even know how many thousands of years, but like they knew and like they had their dials, like their geometric dials on lands. I know you know what I'm talking about. And
Yeah,
like they watched
like
the
the
horizon, like
sundials, yeah.
how they formed astrology, like that it is
Mm-hmm.
now, like was through study, right? And watching these patterns and learning and understanding. And probably also a little help from the extraterrestrials coming through, but that's a whole nother episode. But yeah, like it's a whole science, and it really is like what were they like, oh my gosh, like what is happening right now? Or like, wait, it happened so quick. What was that? And then it doesn't happen again forever. And you're like, what was that? There's a report of I was just talking about this with my kids and my husband last night at dinner, and I tell people this all the time, and I probably should know the amount of times I refer this like crazy story of the sun falling from the sky back in like I want to say the 1800s or something. There's like hundreds of people witnessed the sun as if it was literally falling from the sky. And the philosophical idea is that no different from like the great floods or, Atlantis and things like this, like that was God's way or higher source's way of saying like, wake up people, like, get your shit together, like, or it's not going to be good. And I mean, that was 1800s probably. And now look at us. So,
That's
I don't
wild.
know.
If I saw that, I would freak out. I would tell everybody. Everybody would know if I saw that.
Everyone would know. I wasn't even there. It was almost 200 years ago, and I'm still telling people about it every chance I can. Maybe I was there who in a past life. I don't know.
You were.
Probably. Like, I feel like I witnessed it. Like, I feel like I read this and learned this and like wherever I saw it. And it was like a legitimate, like I always double check my facts. Like when I hear shit, right? Like I like made sure before I went and told people like, this is the real thing. I don't know. We don't know.
So
But
wild.
we all we can do while we are, you know, being humans is to take it all in. And I think the stars and the sky and the moon and everything is a beautiful way to tap in and to make it like an experience. Life is about experience, and if we're not living it, then what the hell are we doing, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much as always, Theresa Mariesa, for coming
Thank
on.
you. Thanks for
And
having me.
yeah, so you'll, if you want to find Theresa, she can be found in Nyack. She can be found on Long Island as well. So I will tag you in everything, obviously. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Any
Alli.
any last minute words of wisdom for the astrological new year?
Just take it easy, but also charge ahead at full blast.
All right.
Do both.
Fill your tank, but stay on reserve. And when you know it's time, then take
Yes.
off 0 to 100.
Absolutely. There you go.
All right, cool. All right. Thank you, Theresa. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please come back next week for more high vibe content and interviews. Peace out. God bless.